All right, we are live. I'm gonna turn down the music. So, hello everyone, and welcome to our live chat with the WebZero team. WebZero is a full-service events agency founded by a team of Polkadot OGs, you could say. You guys are in Brussels this week and next week, I believe, and have several exciting events that are going to coincide with ethCC and Polkadot Decoded. And I should just mention that Polkadot Decoded is happening July 11th and 12th. It's free to attend if you have an ethCC ticket, but you just need to register because capacity is limited. There's several stages at Decoded, and it's the place to be if you want to learn about Polkadot DAO, if you want to get involved with OpenGov. There's a pre-party by Beatport, which is always a really good time, and a closing party from Bash Audio. So let's get into some introductions with the WebZero team. But I do want to remind the viewers that this is an interactive live stream. So you can leave a comment or a question and we will see it. So feel free to jump into the conversation. So I thought we could just start with some quick 30-second intros from each of you. Like, what's your experience in Web3 and with Polkadot? So let's just start with Sasha.
My experience in Web3 Polkadot, I guess, started with, well, Web3 being kind of this really interesting problem space that came to my attention when I was studying computer science. So kind of in the times where I was still studying and exploring, blockchain systems and Ethereum in 2016, 17. But I would say that when the time I had really the chance to dive into it very properly was when I joined Parity in the year that they launched Parachains. And that was the time where we were doing a lot of documentation, working on a lot of guides, updating documentation, improving it. And I came on sort of to help with that. And then in that role, grew into doing all things, I'd say DevRel, but it's all of the things that are at the intersection of what the engineering teams are doing at Parity and how we want to package that for builders on the other end, right? People that are using the technology. So that included a bunch of live streaming, also helping at the Polkadot Blockchain Academy. I was one of the first mentors and student supports in the Cambridge chapter. So that kind of summarizes Sasha before he joined WebZero. And when Parity started decentralizing, I was decentralized and kind of took a little bit of a break from the whole thing. And Ella and Roman basically came to me slowly through Dennis. Actually, Dennis was like, hey, maybe you should see what Sasha's up to. And at that point, I'd fell out of love. I don't know. It was like, at the point, it was more like, hey, maybe this is an opportunity to look at what other things are doing, what other ecosystems and platforms are out there. So I did take the time to dive into a lot of other things, which was very interesting for me because it gave me more perspective. Prior to that, I was really just Polkadot. And so, but sobered from the kind of Polkadot, maxi thing. But then Roman and Ella said, hey, we have this concept of doing the block space. It's just side events at Ethereum or big Web3 conferences where we do side events and we want to host more developer relation activities. So that's what we're up to now, and that's what we've been working on. We've done a thing.
Sasha, I'm gonna cut you off there because let's just do a quick round of intros, and then we'll get into all the block space and stuff happening at
thanks for cutting me. Otherwise,
no worries. I'm gonna be like the CNN moderators. I'm gonna cut your mic after 30 seconds. Roman, go ahead.
Yeah, so I started getting involved with Polkadot when I worked at Subsplit, indexing protocol that started at a Kusama hackathon. And I was their CMO from the beginning for the first 2 years. And I got to meet everybody at Amsterdam. I fell in love with the community, like everybody I met online. I was like, hell yeah, that's like even a bit cooler than the Bitcoin community that I met before. I didn't say that, guys, sorry. I don't want to insult anybody. But so for me, this was a great new home. And when we started thinking about events, this idea for WebZero was born, and it enabled me to work with my friends, work with the best people in the ecosystem to, go to all of these events. It's fantastic, and we're getting rewarded with success. We have signups, we have conversions, new teams building on Polkadot. It's fresh air for me. that's my, yeah. So I'm
Okay,
stuck
great.
with Polkadot, I guess.
Yeah, once in Polkadot, always in Polkadot. It's hard to get out. Let's go over to
Right.
Xylo.
Yeah, so I got into Web3 because Revolut sent me an email about Bitcoin. Then I started researching and I read the white paper, didn't understand anything, read a bit more. And yeah, then I got fascinated by the world of blockchain because of the ethos, really. I have a background in photography and design, and I was really kind of fed up with using Instagram and all these platforms to get my work out, and I really wanted out. So Web3 seemed like the perfect environment to go into. And then eventually I started researching other chains, and I saw some videos and the Behind the Code series as well. And that's what really got me into Polkadot. And yeah, ever since I've been here, I don't think I'd go and work in any other industry. But that's pretty much
Nice, and good to hear that Behind the Code got you into the ecosystem. I think that's actually a common thing I hear from everyone that's involved with Polkadot is they saw that series on YouTube and they just got super interested in the mission and what Gav was doing. And
It's the most hype.
those that are
It's the
watching,
most hype video series, right? Like you watch it
Yeah.
and you're like, "Ooh, yeah, I want to be a part of that."
Yeah, really well done, I think. And there is, obviously the follow-up series happening now. Let's go over to, is it Dennis?
Dennis, right. Yeah, I was super excited to join Parity like almost 6 years ago. And my work mostly lies beyond compiling Rust and deploying and everything around the node and validators and everything like behind the program for validators. Then, yeah, I also got decentralized like almost a year ago. Now I'm with WebZero guys. Joined them as a event agency, and at some point we realized that something might be not going well with the decentralization, the actual one, the services within the ecosystem, and we thought, why not we could come up with the DevRel, and this DevRel thing might really become something that targets the target audience better than marketing. That's how we get there.
Okay, sounds good. I think DevRel and marketing can coincide and work together to promote what you guys are doing. But it's been a topic of the week, so I'm well versed on it at the moment. Cool. With that, let's just jump into some questions for you guys. So, I mean, first off, what is WebZero? And let's talk a bit about the block space concept. I know, Sasha, you were you were about to get into that, so maybe you want to pick it up there.
Yeah, I think that there's the question: what is WebZero like 6 months ago, and then what is WebZero now, and what we're really trying to make and carve out. And I think WebZero really gained their merit like doing really cool events before, like 6 months ago, before we started working on this block space thing. But now it's really just kind of a simple recipe. We've got really cool events, and we want to offer a space for hackers, for builders in the community to hang out, build stuff, connect with like-minded people, and really bolster this community that is in the spirit of, hey, there's some cool stuff that you could tinker with. It's in the realm of decentralized technologies. You like that kind of stuff. Here's a cool space that you can do that. We might have bounties up for you, stuff like that. So really building out that community and vibe, I would say, the culture, and that's what I'm most excited about too. So the block space is this place, right? It's at a Web3 main conference. We have a side event called the block space, and it's a kind of product that's kind of been envisioned by Roman and Ella in the inception. There's actually a forum post about the block space when we pitched it to the Web3 Foundation, and it details exactly kind of what we're doing now. And so the block space is this place where hackers come and hang out, and people make connections, brainstorm, and stuff like that. So we've seen a bunch of cool projects come out of these initiatives. We've sponsored the Denver Hackathon. So Polkadot participated in the Denver Hackathon thanks to our participation and the sponsorship money from the events bounty, which was a cool thing. And also in Austin, we we did a sponsorship. We partnered with EZA. So EZA was running the hackathon component for the main CoinDesk Consensus event. So we secured the funding to do that through the events bounty. And I managed to put a team together for that as the block space DevRels to facilitate the educational components, like running workshops and all that, and also being mentors and facilitators for the teams building.
Nice.
So that was really exciting. We saw 21 teams submit to the Polkadot track, which was a fair number as compared to others, and more exciting for us. It's now that we've been mingling with these teams, they get this vibe of the block space. We see them coming back to other block space events, and we're helping them continue build their ideas. That's something that we care a lot about at WebZero. So that's the DevRel component and what WebZero really is becoming, I would say.
Cool. And I think Berto's got a question for you guys, but before that, we had a space earlier this week talking about the Treasury report, and some people were saying, oh, there's no hackathons in the Polkadot ecosystem. So I just want to say to all those fudders out there, that is not true. There are hacker houses and hackathons happening, thanks to the WebZero team.
And many others,
at least one per week.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hackathons happening. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Roman.
I also want to add that we target especially developers that are not in the ecosystem yet, and that's a good thing. So if some of our people don't hear about it, who cares? They're already building on it. I mean, they're always welcome to pop by and hang out. That's exactly who we build it for as well. But yeah, it's more important that we get like fresh blood into the eco.
Yeah.
Also, I think it was cool to see like Rob Habermeyer, who's like a co-founder of Polkadot, was at the event in Austin, chatting with people, hanging out. So like, I think we also have seen some pretty nice like people from inside the ecosystem also interested in what like WebZero is doing, and like chatting with builders as well, which is cool to see.
In Denver as well, he was also there.
Denver as well, very nice.
Spent significantly more time at the block space there. Yeah, it was great.
I mean, it was great because Rob would come up. He kind of likes the vibe of it's quiet. He can sit on a couch somewhere and be quiet in his corner and stay there for 3 hours, and that's just the vibe that we want to facilitate for people. And Rob especially, I remember in Denver, he was always up in the nest on the couch at the top there in the lounge area. But yeah, I think that's just a note on the kind of culture, the kind of vibe. It's really an atmosphere we want to be pushing for at these side events.
Nice. And I imagine like we have Decoded coming up next week. I imagine there will be some presence from WebZero there. Do you know maybe talk about that? I assume there's something happening.
Yeah, we can talk about it. I mean, we're actually knee deep in the whole prep work, and it's going to be a really great week. I think the team is very busy with making the programming for the entire week really solid and as fun and engaging and yeah, interesting as possible, I think. But maybe Ella or Roman, you want to speak on the schedule, or Dennis?
Yeah, I can go ahead. So we're hosting a multi-chain house, well, in the cafe this time. It's a sneaker cafe where they have their own TV show and they customize sneakers, kind of like Pimp My Ride, basically. But in terms of Polkadot, we have a day on the 9th. Obviously, Gavin's talk on the 11th about Jam. And on the 13th, one day after Decoded, we are hosting a DeFi day, which will conclude with the Chaos DAO birthday party. Outside of Polkadot, we're also working with Koi, and yeah, obviously Subsquid is hosting a brunch with Google. We're working with Crypto Girls Club, ZK Pass, Fuel, and I don't know if I forgot to mention anybody, but we think that obviously exposing different chains to each other will just ultimately be beneficial for everyone. And recently we've been talking, Sasha mentioned this for our next hackathon, that we should definitely try and get engineers from different blockchains to build teams together and build projects together with different kinds of technologies instead of just staying in our own little bubbles.
It's a side effect of this decentralization, right? Before there was like a central voice, clear leadership. They made decisions who we can work with and who we can't work with. And this was also always an idea for WebZero, to be that neutral entity in between that can just sometimes just do things and ask for forgiveness later, And so this way we can experiment and we can find a good path forward while not continuing the same and the same, thing.
Yeah, I think there's a really good point here that speaks to the spirit behind like how we're going about building this developer community, and it's like bringing different communities together, making a space where it's like new people that don't really know Polkadot are maybe excited about using Crust. We've seen some really cool projects in Austin where these teams, we do brainstorming sessions together. We're thinking about cool things to do. One of the teams, Vegetaria, actually deployed some. It was a fun, creative project. They started from an idea, and the product was really a way to make you eat vegetables, make you eat healthier. So they did an integration with Robonomics, that is a device that's basically scanning. So they wrote some facial recognition software that would scan your face, and whenever you'd eat something unhealthy, you would have demerit points that were unique tokens, NFTs on unique network, that would be minted as demerit points. And if you ate vegetables, you would then get points that then you can redeem as a voucher to like a grocery store. They had a business idea around it to encourage you eating healthy habits. So that's an example of just bringing someone that's completely new to the ecosystem, kind of just guiding them somewhat, telling them what's out there, and then they just build cool things. And I think that encapsulates really like what we're trying to do very well. And it's exciting.
Like spray paint all the stake green, right?
They did.
I can't remember who, but someone mentioned about like Gavin making an appearance as well. Is that correct? Which event is that going to be at?
Oh, we have the Jam Day at Roman.
Yeah, the Gray Paper Tour. And by the way, Ella, you did
jamming.
One event.
Are we jamming? We might 10th, be jamming. Bring your talents. Yeah. Bring your talents.
And on the 10th, we have the Pokey, the Polkadot Key Account unit. They're going to do an evening. So that's also, it's a new group that got funded by Decentralized Futures. And they are aiming to onboard, big corporations and governments to Polkadot, which is very exciting. And about the Gray Paper Tour, that's really cool. Like, shout out to Jay from the Cosmarian. He came at me and asked if we can do this lecture tour, which is usually only happening in universities. So this is like the first Gray Paper lecture. It's an interactive lecture, but it's for the first time. It's not going to be in a university, which is really a different vibe. I think it's going to be very unique and stick out from this global tour that he's doing, preaching Jam. Yeah, so very excited about that one.
What's the capacity of that event? Is it like a sort of a more intimate, smaller crowd, or is it
Tiny.
Like in an auditorium?
We want to make it small, so it's like intense for everybody. We don't want a big group where people are on their cell phone or like chatting or some stuff. We want to avoid all of that. So everybody's going to have a seat, and we will figure it out how many. I think not more than 80, I guess.
Evan, you can always go on my shoulders. I can always.
Yeah. It feels like it would be like at a
concert. Yeah.
It was kind of deliberate to have it like in a rather small place as an interactive lecture with not a lot of people attending, but also accepting questions from the audience in the web, because we will be streaming.
Yeah, kind of like Funk House vibes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Web3 Summit vibes. Yeah. Yeah, very excited. I guess one thing in the schedule that we skimmed over highlighting is on Tuesday. So on Tuesday, it's the Polkadot Builders Day. So we've put together a program that's really kind of catered to sharing the types of things that are being built that's kind of on the cutting edge, or just projects that are currently building in the ecosystem, where the kind of arc of the day starts with the ecosystem, introducing the ecosystem, because we can expect a lot of people from the Ethereum communities and all the L2s to come on that day, because it's before Decoded. And so we're going to also focus on bridging, where we're going to have a bridging panel where Sean Lanage from Hyperbridge Polytope Labs will be on the panel, and we also have people from Snowfork. And I'm going to get someone else. We're going to be doing the narrative around UX. So there's going to be someone fill in this slot for you guys. So that's going to be a really fun one. And then we're going to finish the day where, okay, this is a call to action. Put it in your calendars. Come to our lightning demo session. This is a really fun activity we do typically in our events, where developers, someone building something has 10 minutes. They present what they want to do, they present what they're building, and they leave a little bit of time for questions, and that's that. So they just have an open stage for what you're building. So that's a call to action for anyone that has something that they want to show or share with the community. Come to our demo day lightning sessions. It's from 5 to 7:30 on Tuesday.
Nice.
5 to 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday. Yeah. All of this is in the Luma event, and you can even sign up for a slot in the demo day.
Cool. To all the viewers, I shared the link to get involved with these events in the chat, so you can find it there. Go ahead, Zala.
Yeah, and obviously after the demos, we have the Polkadot party to finish the day.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because for everyone that's been on Twitter in the last 72 hours has seen the commotion around Alison Bob's Treasury report. There was a lot of talk about how much funding went to KOLs, and you guys, kudos to you guys, jumped on it real quick and created the Polkadot event. Just a disclaimer, Polkadot is not actually rebranding to Polkadot. For those that didn't get it, wink, wink, finance. But
one ref away,
tell us
man.
about that event. Yeah. Tell us about that event.
So the cool thing is, if you have like multiple days, like we plan for these events, you can just basically come up with your own program on some evenings. So I was like, okay, we have this opening. This is a cool thing. Let's come up with an idea where we can poke fun at this, but also create an outlet, a creative outlet, a comedic outlet where people can just talk shit about it. I'm sorry. Excuse my French, but let it all out and see what we get together. I'm trying to get Jay to be the moderator, so we do it and we make it into like a little game show. I already know that there's going to be a lot of like really high-level OGs coming to this. So a lot of backholders will be there, decision makers. For any KOL that actually wants money from Polkadot, this is unironically the opportunity to speak in front of these people in person. So this is a very, very unique event. And yeah, it's a bit tongue-in-cheek. Yeah.
Cool. And I want to go back to the one thing you guys mentioned about the lightning round. That just rekindled a thought that had been floating around a couple months ago for like almost like a Polkadot Shark Tank type event where this never materialized for whatever reason, but I just want to put on your guys' radar for maybe something in the future. But imagine we get some funds from the Treasury to host this event where teams from other ecosystems can come pitch to like a panel, and then the funds are distributed to them to build on Polkadot. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent here, but I just wanted to.
Totally
sign up for this Polkadot event. By the way, they are from other ecosystems. They want to pitch.
Which is nice for the diversity. But on the note of what your idea, it's like that's the kinds of things we want to do. I think like there's something to be said about our approach, which is always engaging somewhat. There's something that we want, developers that are maybe learning a topic to really leave with an understanding of that topic, maybe to have built something, and these lightning sessions are a really good tool because it allows for Q&A. So the coolest thing of the lightning sessions is I built something, like I built this library that does it's a networking library called SwarmNL, and I'm sharing. I'm like, this is what it does, how it works. Any questions? And then there's someone that says, oh, but did you think about this thing? Oh, I'm curious. I think it's really cool, but what about this? And so this engagement, this level of like really peer-to-peer learning, it's kind of a co-learning approach, really makes the kinds of the environments you want to create. And so the themes currently are more developer focused, like what you've built and stuff like that. I would love to see more BD focused stuff. People sharing learnings about marketing, about developer relations, things like this. And that could be a cool Treasury funded thing for sure.
Great, I love the idea, and if hopefully we see a Polkadot Shark Tank in the coming months. Just a reminder to everyone, mic's on mute, please, if you're not speaking, because I heard some microwaves and kids screaming and so on in the back. Don't know who's guilty, but I think Berto, you had the next question. Did you want to go for it?
Yeah, sure. Zala, I'd be interested to hear like what you're kind of most excited for in Brussels. Like there is going to be a lot on, and I think you're all going to be very busy every day. But like, do you have anything that is maybe stand out for you for the week-long event?
I think everybody here is probably mainly excited in terms of content about the jam talk, but obviously that's a big deal. But outside,
No, they're more excited about the Builder Day. What are you saying, Zylo? They
both.
should be.
But yeah, I think all things aside, it's nice that it's decoded and everybody's there at the same time, and the community is finally like together. Sure, like we go to consensus in Denver and whatever, but that's like some parts of us. Usually for Decoded or Sub-Zero, everybody's there, and I think we should definitely have more conversations about governance. We should have more conversations about what the direction of Polkadot is, and how we're gonna get there together.
Nice. What about you, Roman?
Yeah, for me, it's like definitely the gray paper, but I'm super excited to see the teams building or forming over the week. That's how we always design the agenda. So there's like kickoff events, then there are like demo events. So yeah, my personal favorite is always the demos, because that what decides what actually comes out as a result is what we did there successful or not. You know, what do we have to in the end show for it other than, oh yeah, people came to an event, they drank some beer, they drank some wine, they had a good time, and they say, oh, we had the best vibes. Yeah, great. Which I do want every time, right? Consistently, but the result is actually like what's being built? Like what's new, you know? Can we have like more things rewarding good behavior, penalizing bad behavior? Can we maybe improve governance? Can we improve the spending? You know, like all of these things, like we can make all of the issues in the ecosystem something that people can build on. And like we try to do this as much as we can. So
like, and in a lot of ways, like what we're trying to do, and the fun part for us is we really are an experimentation playground for these types of things. So back in January, I think I had a forum post going where I involved the community with the types of topics that we would like to see talked about at these block space events when we talk about Polkadot. And so it's like then we're coming up with a list. I'm working with Bill Laboon on his talk, and then we're coming up with, okay, this is a great topic, and he does it, and then we're able to say, okay, how impactful was that? Did it get across in the right way? How is it when you talked about Cosmos that way? Were you able to really go through? So we're able to not only test things out in terms of the knowledge and how we're delivering it, but we're able to also explore like what's the stickiness. Like when we talk about Polkadot, as everyone probably knows that has been here for at least 3 years, I think that even 1 year, that's not the point, but it's difficult to talk about, right? The marketing team at Distractive, for example, has like done a really good job at carving a narrative that is more resonating in terms of beyond the infrastructure. At Parity, we were blinded by the it's very core technology, and that makes it hard to zoom out of that, I think, and that was difficulty. But when you zoom out, you talk about you get to explore how to talk about Polkadot in different ways.
Nice. I was actually going to ask you to define jam and give us no, but I'm not going to put you on the spot to do that.
Come to the jam day. We'll have a jam session with Gav.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like we can probably delegate that to Gav as probably maybe like more fit for purpose, I think maybe.
Yeah.
I was going to say, so like WebZero now have run quite a few, or at least several hacker houses, right? What kind of, maybe you could kind of explain to people like what kind of things like go on, and like what kind of spaces are they typically in, and like what like if someone was going to come to one, what would they expect to see? Dennis, we haven't heard too much from you. Maybe you'd like to kick off.
Yeah, so this is a new format. We constantly experiment with it. We're trying to come up with the best and most interesting venues, which are at the same point very close to the main event venue. Yes, as I mentioned, within this hacker houses, and they can be called they can, depending on the size, they can be block spaghetti or block mansion or block space. Those are different flavors. And within them, we're just trying different formats of immersive events, of different types of networking. So it doesn't become boring. And honestly, I personally collect the feedback from the attendees, and by far, everyone loves it. And by far, it was only positive feedback from everyone, including those who just came to network, to drink at the bar, and of course, those who came to workshop and listen up to the talks. We put the technical side of things at the foremost and the most important part of it, so it goes smoothly and ideally, by far it does. And to finish with the experiments, this time we're going to experiment with the supporting the hackers after their hackathon submissions, and picking up and helping them with going forward with those projects, which is usually not the case. Usually the projects from hackathons are being dropped right after the prize or the hackathon ends.
Yeah, that's a nice one to
with them.
double click. Yeah, so specifically, you know, I would say like what we really care about is this building culture, but to genuinely help teams that want to deploy something. I mean, we see a lot of teams that come and say, here's a really great idea. I don't know, Berto, if you saw that we have this really neat new Telegram app that helps you do multi-sigs. It has an integration with Multics, I think. Oh. And so these guys built this during the hackathon. So I'm like, well, I really want to help you put that out to the community. Like, that would be neat, right? So really being in this kind of final leg of this how would you call it, spindle of sorts, where you're actually supporting teams with the goal of making their projects and products go to production. And it's great for the community. It's great for them because they learn and they have fun. Maybe they can profit from it. You know, we are well connected with a lot of different opportunities for funding, whether that's grants and stuff like that. So that's the net that we're catching. Also in that, I shill things like the meetups bounty. You know, if you want to continue doing something with Polkadot, you can here's a link to the meetups bounty, and you can get involved in that way. And that's what's cool about Polkadot right now, is that there's a lot of really neat things coming out, and there's in this almost whirlwind of, combative innovation. I think now we're kind of coming to the point where there's things that are really happening that are solid, that we can use and that we can evangelize, and that we could really it would become just part of normal using Polkadot, you know. Nice. So we're at that end where we want to connect with people like that.
That's awesome. I think we're going to update Polkadot's Twitter bio to combative innovation. I love that. Should coin that. Something Dennis said made me chuckle too. Is the people that hang out at the bar, it's like, what percentage of people that go to crypto events just come for the free food and drink and then bail? It's got to be like 2 or 3%, right? It seems like every event there's those people.
2 or 3%. It's more like 40%. No,
let me say one thing. So the way that we select events, right? We look for the biggest events in the world that attract the most diverse crowd in Web3. So stuff like ETH Denver or CoinDesk Consensus, they're humongous. Or ethCC Week, they have 350 side events. Yeah, you bet that people are gonna just show up for drinks and snacks, but after like the third drink, they might have a really cool talk and idea, and that happens on the regular too. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with that, And
oh no, I know.
But in the first place, I want to say, like, whoever makes it to these events, right, and signs up and goes, they're committed, they're interested, they spend a week, they travel somewhere, either themselves or the company sending them spends thousands of having these people there. So I would say a majority of these people have reason to be there. they want to do stuff. They want to connect with people. So not everybody is like, I mean, if you think about let's say you're building all year, right? And then you go to one big event or two, and you might not want to build at this event, but you want to meet everybody in person, you can, because you're terminally online only. So that's the only shot to meet people in real life. So I don't even blame people if they just come for the networking. It's fine.
Yeah, and I wasn't throwing shade. I was just making a funny observation because it happens at
it's
every
true.
event, not just
Oh yeah. Some events are just
so
that.
Just also to add one thing about the hacker houses, now that we've done a few of them, we're starting to finally realize what some kind of key metrics are, because especially with events, people are like, what are the metrics? What is the ROI? And so on. So, you know, when we do a hackathon, we don't want people to just build something and leave, because what's the point of that? So now we're going to try and figure out a pipeline of how to keep these teams in the ecosystem and help send them to the right grants programs. Not necessarily the Treasury, maybe, but with Free Foundation. The Treasury would work if it's something like SDK maintenance, like APIs or anything that could be potentially a public good, at least. So that could be that would be a metric that we would use to measure our success in the future. And this way we can see how many new teams are coming into the ecosystem, because right now at this point, at least I personally think that we're missing also key critical pieces of infrastructure that need to be maintained as public goods by new teams coming into the ecosystem. Of course, we need entrepreneurship as well. But these are kind of some of the things that we want to focus on.
Yeah. The main point is, and we made this, you can read this in the proposal that went to decentralized futures, like it identifies all the key stakeholder organizations, right? So to make sure that builders in the ecosystem find, like, I mean, I had this talk with Rob as well. So you have, you now have a lot of people, like they're getting Polkadot, they hear about it, right? So now they get into the community, what do they find? Like where to go from there? So one of our core purposes here is identify these funnels, like where people can go into, where they find the resources, who can help them, you know, to have success in this ecosystem. And if they have success, the whole ecosystem will. So yeah, what happens after the event and between the events, and do they come back? Do they become part of this community? This is what we're checking with time.
Yeah. If I might want to add something, because Ella mentioned the public goods and like the kinds of applications we like to see, and that there is some core infrastructure missing. Like, guys, we need to be honest. Also, doing this job is fun because it puts us in a position to really use our technologies. When I'm securing funds for the sponsorship for the EZA Hackathon at Consensus, it's coming from a multi-sig, but then I have to go and do all the bells and whistles and jump through all the hoops to get that payment out. And then I also need to do all the bounty payouts, and then I also need to do a report to the events bounty about what I did and reimburse the dot that I don't have yet. And it's a really big pain in the butt, right? Like, to say the least. So you're jumping between different tabs. You have a Google spreadsheet, you've got a Google Doc here, then you need to cross-reference, then you need to communicate with a team in a Telegram chat. It's a bit of a nightmare. So this is probably an example of something really good, really good problem to solve. You know, let's just build an app that's a public good. It's funded, and the maintenance comes from the Treasury as a public good of a simple way to just handle these kinds of payments for a hackathon, for example. So the comment on, yeah, like we want to be seeing more people innovate in this area, and we can be there to help. You know, we can connect you with the right people, the developers, perhaps, you know, to build something like that. And it's also going to be very beneficial for the community. So I'm very excited about that kind of lens too.
That's awesome. And I'd really like to hear that you guys are establishing KPIs and measuring them. So there's a baseline for events in the ecosystem. And I think some other entities in the Polkadot.org ecosystem could learn from that and get some KPIs going. So great job with that.
Thanks.
I
want to also add that a lot of KPIs are misleading. So we would never like talk about who's like actually like, okay, who came? That's not so important. It's more important what happens afterwards. It's like, okay, somebody downloaded a Polkadot wallet. Great. Now we have another metric that says, okay, wallets are up. Are they active? Let's check.
And also, is wallets the best metric? Really? Maybe not, right? There's maybe other ways. Because what you find is, okay, you check 6 months, you have a team call, you put in your calendar 6 months later, we're going to check the wallets if they're active. It's a lot of
every wallet is equal, right?
You know, you can have a bot that's scanning maybe whatever, but it's still like, okay, and so what they did 2 transactions and they staked on Nova wallet. We've done that actually. We did a workshop when we did Nova, and we tracked the wallets, right? Simple thing. Well, it turns out that they just did a few things during that workshop and didn't do anything else after. So we need to find new ways. We need to find new ways of how we define, like, well, what is the impact we want to make when we're bringing developers together around Polkadot.
And the cool thing about this incubation process that we are doing internally is it's a limited amount of people, right? It's not thousands that we have to interact with in one day. So it makes it much easier to follow up, and we can build a more sustainable community that stays with us. It's more sticky, it's more personal. And then from there we grow, right? These people that we're onboarding in the first year, they will be the Blockspace ambassadors in the future, right? They will be the OGs. They will welcome the new people that just come to the event. And then we can talk about, like, okay, now we can talk about a couple thousand people per day, and they will find the right things to do afterwards. So I think we have some road to travel until there.
And also, like, less is more sometimes, because one of the things that our houses create is this atmosphere where you can just, you know, make friends with someone, or like connect on a deeper level, not just chat shit, forgive my French, and then leave and then go and speed date with somebody else. But you can come back, you can talk to the same person, and, you know, you can build an actual relationship beyond that. And I think in terms of like mentioning numbers for attendance, I think in many cases they can even seem irrelevant, because I think it's far more important to onboard 10 or maybe 15 developers than to have 1,000 people attend an event.
Yeah, absolutely. In the end, it's how many people actually convert and start building on Polkadot.
And
I wanted to ask,
the events, that it just taps onto this vibe. Just to double click there, it's not the place where it's overstimulation and whatnot. There's a lot of events, you know, that currently in the Web3 space where you're overstimulated, but the real genuine connections don't really happen, right? Because you're just rushed to get to the next event. The block space is a place different. It's a place that's different that way, you know. It's a place where you can just hang out.
Nice. I had a question about how these hacker houses are bringing developers into the ecosystem, but I feel like we've pretty much covered that. So looking ahead, you know, a few months out after ethCC and Decoded, what other events do you have on your calendar? Anything planned yet, or still kind of just taking it day by day for now? Because I know you have a lot on your plate at the moment.
We're trying to plan. It's always hard, honestly. But we will have a presence at Token. We are also, before that, we are aiming to do something at the Web3 Summit in Berlin, and working hard to get that formulated. And yeah, we have a couple more events. We are also, like, a very big one is going to be DevCon in Thailand, and there we are probably gonna do a residential hacker house for the first time or something similar. So that's Sean was insisting, I guess.
Like a proper house.
Yeah, but I mean, like it was said before, right? This block space is supposed to be a bit different, right? It shouldn't be only inviting hackers. It should be very inclusive and open for people to float through, and whoever wants to stay stays, right? That's been working.
Nice. I think if anyone has any closing thoughts, you can wind us down. If not, we can wrap it up. Anyone want to say anything before? Yeah.
Check out our event schedule for the week. In Brussels, we're going to be there all week. We start on Sunday. Sunday's going to be a really fun day because we're doing some activities around building peer-to-peer applications on a stack that can integrate with blockchain stuff, but it's not necessarily. So it's basically all the networking layer behind, like a LimeWire and those kinds of pieces. So it's a fun activity if you're interested. You're a developer that wants to learn something new. Come on Sunday. We also have our peer-to-peer networking cocktail hour on Sunday. So we're going to do a fun little cocktail making activity. It's first come, first serve. There's only limited spots to do the class, so make sure you show up. And then throughout the week, we'll be at the Blockspace Cafe hosting different events. On Tuesday, like we said, we have a Builder Day. Thursday is the Jam Day. Friday, we have a demo day for people building throughout the week at the Blockspace. So come to that. That's always a fun one. It's always recorded too, and you just get to learn about what other people have been building. Nice. And I think that wraps up the week. I might have missed a few key ones, but I think Saturday Oh, the jam,
guys-
the Gav
I
jam
was gonna
green
say,
paper. That's on
People
Thursday.
wanted to come. What
Yeah.
time on Thursday?
Roman, I'm not sure what time on Thursday.
So the way we'll do it, we'll let people in at 6, and if anybody is not showing up for their
right?
seat, we let
PM.
new
No,
people
6
in
a.m.
at 6.
There's gonna be a
6
big
p.m.
line. It's at 6 a.m. It's like in Berlin, you know.
It's like
There's a
the day
huge line.
before.
Yeah,
Bring
they're gonna
your-
start
bring your
camping
tents.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have
Yeah,
like
yeah.
snacks, food,
It's
and
like
drinks for them. So
Apple
just come
store
early.
opening, the jam store opening. No, we start at 6 p.m. letting people in, and then whoever doesn't claim their seat, we will release the seat at 6:30 for people who signed up but couldn't get approved, because we have to be very limited, unfortunately.
Makes sense.
And I'll remind
so,
all of the. Oh yeah, go ahead, Bird.
I was just going to say, so people can go to Decoded and then come to this basically directly after. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, straight up. Mm-hmm.
And I'll remind all of the listeners and watchers, you can follow at Join WebZero on Twitter. You'll have all of the events on your guys' Twitter or X feed. I think also the Polkadot account is sharing some of the events, so check it out there. You guys, thanks for coming on. You have a really busy week ahead. Get some rest. And I just wanted to also remind everyone, July 11th and 12th in Brussels, Polkadot Decoded, free admission if you have an ethCC ticket, but you do need to register because capacity is limited. So just go onto the Polkadot X account or at Polkadot Decoded to find the registration link. It's free to ethCC holders, so we hope to see you there. Thanks again, Roman, Sasha, Dennis, Berto, Xylo, everyone for coming on. Next week, we have a live stream, a little birdie told me, with Billaboon, Limo possibly, and maybe Allison Bob, the guy, Allison Bob, who kicked off the whole shitstorm this week. They're going to do a little session on governance, how to submit a treasury proposal. So hope to see everyone on the next live stream as well. Thanks for joining in, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks
so
everyone.
much.
Thanks for your time.